I was in the penthouse storage room organizing files when I heard my sister Rachel's voice echo through the marble foyer. Not unusual, she had my spare key for emergencies. What made my hands freeze over the document box was her tone. That practiced, bright realtor voice she used on her YouTube channel. As you can see, south-facing floor-to-ceiling windows, completely unobstructed views of the harbor, Rachel was saying. I heard multiple footsteps. Expensive shoes on Italian tile. The owner is highly motivated. We're looking at a same-day close if the price is right. I pulled out my phone. Opened the security app. 6 camera angles loaded simultaneously. My sister was giving a showing. To 4 people in business attire. In my home. At 11 a.m. on a Saturday. One of the women touched the Carrara marble countertop. The listing said estate sale. Is the owner deceased? Rachel laughed. Might as well be. My sister's in default. Bank's about to foreclose. Family's doing her a favor trying to get something out of it before it goes to auction. She opened my Sub-Zero fridge like she owned it. All appliances stay. High-end everything. She bought above her means, frankly. Always did. I recorded every word. The oldest man in the group, silver hair Patek Philippe watch, walked to the window. 3.2 million is the ask? Taking cash offers over 2.9, Rachel said. My parents are co-signers on the original mortgage. They're motivated to move this fast. We can do paperwork today. That's when I understood. Not just a showing. An illegal sale. My mother appeared from the hallway. I watched her on camera carrying one of my framed degrees. This stuff needs to go to Goodwill anyway, Mom said. Sarah always was a hoarder. Kept every little certificate like it mattered. The degree was my master's in trust administration from Cornell. The frame cost $40. The education cost $160,000. That I paid myself. Rachel opened the master bedroom. King-sized room, custom closets. Owner barely used it. She's been living in a studio somewhere from what we understand. Couldn't afford the HOA fees. I lived here. Every single night. My toothbrush was in that bathroom. My medication in that cabinet. The woman from earlier emerged from my walk-in closet. These clothes are still here. Hermes, Brunello Cucinelli. If she's broke, why not sell these? Denial, my mother said sadly. Sarah never accepted reality well. We've tried to help her for years. She just makes bad decision after bad decision. I had made exactly one decision they knew about. Saying no when they asked to borrow $50,000 last year for Rachel's failed crypto investment. The silver-haired man pulled out his phone. I'm calling my attorney. If we can verify the title's clear, I'll go 3.1, all cash, close in 72 hours. Rachel's eyes lit up. Let me get my parents on the phone. I think we can make this happen. I texted my trust executor. Code red. 447 Harborview, Unit PH2. Bring documentation and police. Then I walked out of the storage room into my living room. Rachel saw me first. Her face went through 4 expressions in 2 seconds. Shock, panic, calculation, then landing on aggressive confidence. Sarah, what are you doing here? I live here, I said quietly. I looked at the potential buyers. I'm Sarah Chin. I own this penthouse. Free and clear. No mortgage. No default. No sale. The silver-haired man frowned. I was told the owner was unreachable. You were told incorrectly, I said. I pulled up my phone, showed him the security footage timestamp. I've recorded this entire showing. You're currently involved in an attempted real estate fraud. My mother stepped forward, using her signature move, the trembling voice. Sarah, honey, we're trying to help you. You're in over your head. We know about the letters. What letters? Rachel jumped in. The foreclosure notices. We've seen them. Mom and Dad co-signed, they have a right to. I don't have a mortgage, I said. I paid cash. 3 years ago. You're not on any paperwork because there is no paperwork. Silence. The woman who'd admired my clothes spoke carefully. Miss Chin, do you have documentation proving ownership? I pulled up my phone, showed the property deed. Digital copy, but notarized and recorded with the county. Owner, Sarah Chin. Purchase date, June 2022. Encumbrances, none. Rachel's face shifted. That's fake. Sarah works as a compliance officer. She makes like $50,000 a year. She can't afford a $3 million penthouse. I make $240,000 annually as Director of Trust Compliance for the Whitmore Foundation, I said. I've held that position for 6 years. My mother's turn. Sarah, you told us you worked in an office. Filing papers. You said. I said I worked in trust administration. You assumed it was clerical. The potential buyers were edging toward the door. The silver-haired man held up both hands. I'm not involved in whatever this is. We're leaving. Wait, Rachel said desperately. She's lying. The family has power of attorney. We can sell. You have nothing, I said. And in approximately 4 minutes, you're going to have significant legal problems. The elevator timed. 3 people stepped into my foyer. Margaret Wu, my trust executor, Detective Patricia Reeves from the Financial Crimes Unit, and Officer Garrett Chin, no relation, from the local precinct. Margaret carried a leather portfolio. She'd been my grandmother's attorney for 30 years before becoming executor of the trust. At 71, she had the energy of a prosecutor half her age. Margaret Wu, representing the Chin Family Trust, she announced. Which of you is Rachel Chin? My sister raised her hand automatically, then seemed to regret it. Margaret opened her portfolio. At 9:47 a.m. this morning, I received notification from Sterling Trust Company. Sarah May Chen's restricted trust, established by her late grandmother, Patricia Chin, has completed its vesting period. As of today, Miss Chen's 31st birthday, she has full access to the trust principal. He handed me a document. I already knew what it said, but seeing it printed made my throat tight. $25 million. Plus 14 years of compound growth. Total current value, $42.7 million. My grandmother's final gift. Released only when I turned 31, and only if I'd demonstrated financial responsibility and independence. I'd demonstrated it by never telling my family the trust existed. Margaret continued. This penthouse was purchased 3 years ago using Miss Chen's annual trust disbursements, which she received starting at age 25. The property has always been owned free and clear. Any representation to the contrary constitutes real estate fraud under state law. Detective Reeves stepped forward. I'm going to need statements from everyone present. Starting with who authorized this showing. Rachel found her voice. This is insane. Sarah, you've been letting us think you were broke for years. Years. While you had millions. I never said I was broke, I replied. You assumed. Because I drove a Honda instead of a BMW. Because I brought lunch from home. Because I said no when you wanted money. My mother's face crumpled into her crying expression. The one that had worked on me for 3 decades. How could you lie to your family like this? We're your blood. We would have been so happy for you. You're literally trying to steal my home, I said. Officer Chin was looking at his tablet. We have multiple issues here. Trespassing, attempted fraud, potentially identity theft if any documents were forged. He looked at Rachel. Did you represent yourself as the owner or owner's agent? Rachel went pale. I have her key. She gave me a key. For emergencies, I said. Not for conducting illegal real estate sales. The silver-haired man spoke up. For the record, I was contacted via a listing on a private real estate forum. The listing claimed to be a family estate sale, owner deceased. I performed due diligence on the property records which showed clear title to Sarah Chin, but the listing agent, he gestured at Rachel, claimed there was a quiet title issue being resolved, and that the family had power of attorney. Detective Reeves wrote quickly. Do you still have that listing information? Forwarding it now, he said. Rachel tried once more. Dad co-signed. He has rights. Your father co-signed nothing, Margaret said crisply. He's not on any document related to this property. If he claimed to be, that's also fraud. My mother pulled out her phone. I'm calling your father. He'll explain. Don't, I said. I called him first. Her hand froze. I pulled up my recent calls. Showed the timestamp, 10:52 a.m., 15 minutes ago. I asked Dad if he'd authorized Rachel to sell my penthouse. He said, and I quote, "What penthouse? Sarah lives in that little place in Riverside." Then I told him where I actually live. Then I told him Rachel was currently showing it to buyers. He hung up. Then he called Rachel 6 times. She didn't answer because she was busy showing my home. Rachel's phone sat on my kitchen counter. I could see the screen from here. 7 missed calls from Dad. Detective Reeves addressed the room. Here's what's happening. I need statements from all witnesses. The potential buyers are free to go after providing contact information. Miss Rachel Chin, you're being detained for questioning regarding real estate fraud and criminal trespass. Mrs. Chin, she looked at my mother, you're also being detained. Detained? My mother's voice shot up. I'm her mother. I was trying to help. You were attempting to sell property that doesn't belong to you, Detective Reeves said flatly. That's not help. That's crime. Rachel started crying. Real tears this time. Not the calculated ones she used for sympathy. Sarah, please. I made a mistake. I thought. Dad said you were in trouble. He said the family needed to intervene before you lost everything. He said. Dad lied, I said. Or you lied. Either way, you brought strangers into my home to steal it. Margaret handed Detective Reeves a folder. I've prepared documentation showing the complete property history, trust disbursement records, and Miss Chen's financial independence. This should clarify that no family member has any legal claim to the property. The detective flipped through pages. This is thorough. I've been preparing for this possibility for 3 years, Margaret said. She glanced at me. Since the property purchase. Sarah anticipated her family might eventually discover her assets. My mother's head snapped toward me. You knew they'd do this and you just let us walk into a trap? I hoped you wouldn't, I said quietly. I changed my address with you last year. Sent you my real address. You never visited. Never asked to see it. Just kept asking for money. The 4 potential buyers had given their information and left. Now it was just family, police, and Margaret in my living room. Officer Chin was documenting everything with his body camera. Miss Chin, do you want to press charges? I looked at Rachel. 30 years old. Still living with our parents. No job that lasted more than 6 months. Her last business venture was a jewelry emblem that collapsed when she couldn't recruit enough people. I looked at my mother. Still wearing the martyr expression. Still unable to comprehend that I'd simply documented everything and waited. Yes, I said. Full charges. Both of them. Rachel's crying intensified. Sarah, I'm your sister. Please, I'll pay you back. With what? I asked. You don't have a job. You haven't had a real job in 5 years. You live in mom and dad's basement and spend your days making TikToks about luxury real estate you can't afford. Detective Reeves put her notepad away. We'll need you to come to the station for formal statements. Miss Chin will contact you about pressing charges. The DA will review the case. They left with Rachel and my mother in separate patrol cars. Margaret stayed behind. That went as predicted, she said. I sank onto my couch. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me shaky. I didn't think they'd actually do it. Try to sell it, I mean. I thought maybe they'd ask to stay here. Or ask for money again. Your grandmother knew, Margaret said gently. She wrote specific provisions into the trust. No disbursements to family members. No loans. No co-signing. She saw how they treated you. My grandmother had died when I was 17. Before that I'd spent every summer with her. Learning about compound interest and trusts and financial independence. She never told me about the money she was setting aside. Just taught me to value myself beyond what my family reflected back. The trust activated today because it's your birthday, Margaret continued. But that timing is also protective. You've proven you don't need it. You have a career, a home you purchased independently, savings. The trust becomes supplementary wealth, not your identity. My phone buzzed. My father. I let it go to voicemail. It buzzed again. And again. Margaret stood. I'll leave you to process. But Sarah, your grandmother would be proud. Not of the money, of the boundaries. After she left, I sat in my penthouse that I'd bought with my own earnings, looking at documentation of a trust I'd never asked for, thinking about a family that had never seen me as anything but a resource. My phone kept buzzing. Then Rachel's number. Then Mom's number. Then Dad again. I turned it off. 6 months later. The district attorney's office sent me updates via email. Rachel pleaded guilty to attempted fraud and criminal trespass. She received 2 years probation, 200 hours community service, and a $15,000 fine she couldn't pay. Mom pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit fraud. 1 year probation. Dad was never charged. He claimed he had no knowledge of the sale. Rachel's text messages told a different story, but the DA said it wasn't enough for prosecution. I paid off my student loans from Cornell. All $160,000. Felt like lifting a weight I'd carried so long I'd forgotten it was there. I donated $2 million to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students studying finance. Named it after my grandmother. The rest of the trust money sits in diversified investments, managed by Margaret's firm. I still work at the Whitmore Foundation. Still drive my Honda. Still bring lunch from home most days. My phone number has been changed twice. My address is now truly private. Not even the county records show it publicly anymore, thanks to a program for people who've experienced financial stalking. Rachel sent one letter, forwarded through Margaret's office, asking for help with the fine, explaining that probation was hard, that she'd learned her lesson, that family should forgive family. I didn't respond. My mother sent a Christmas card to my office. Inside, a note, "We will always love you even when you turn your back on us." I recycled it. My father sent nothing. But according to Margaret's investigators, yes, I pay for monitoring. He's told everyone in his social circle that I'm mentally ill, that I fabricated the trust, that the penthouse is rented and I'm living a fantasy. Let him believe it. I'm standing in my living room, the south-facing windows showing the harbor at sunset, holding a glass of wine I can absolutely afford, living in a home I absolutely own, with a career I built myself and an inheritance I never asked for but earned through 31 years of being underestimated. My family thought I was the weak one, the boring one, the one who'd never amount to anything because I didn't chase flash and drama. They thought wrong. And I don't need them to acknowledge it. I just need them to stay away from what's mine. The trust paperwork sits in my safe. $42.7 million in assets. None of it touched except for the loan payoff and the scholarship fund. I'm not hoarding it. I'm just not sharing it. Not with people who saw me as a piggy bank to break when convenient. My phone, the new number, rings. It's Margaret. The civil suit settlement came through, she says. Your parents' homeowner's insurance is paying your legal fees. $43,000. And Rachel's garnished wages start next month for the property damage. What property damage? The showing left scuff marks on your floor. And your Sub-Zero was left open for 3 hours. Compressor damage. It's in the report. I hadn't even noticed. Send the settlement check to the scholarship fund, I say. Margaret pauses. Sarah, you're allowed to keep money that's owed to you. I know, I say. But I don't need it. And some kid who's being told they're worthless by their family might need it more. After we hang up, I walk to my window. 31 floors up. Harbor view. Sunset painting everything gold. I didn't win because I had money. I won because I knew my worth before the money ever appeared. And that's something my family can never take away. Maybe.